Attention! This is part 2 of a 2-part video titled Top 10 Heroes of the Storm. If you have not watched the first part yet, I highly recommend that you do so now before going any further. I'd also recommend trying to decipher the code that I put at the end of the video, so that you can see who the next heroes are. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the top 10 Heroes of the Storm. From a demon hunter who looks like the devil, we go to the actual devil. Diablo is the Lord of Terror, one of 7 evils hell-bent on ruling over all of creation. Diablo is yet another hero I get to act like a moron with, and ironically for the same reason. Though it is noted as risky because Diablo doesn't have any form of escape. But what he lacks in escape he makes up for in CC and tankiness thanks to his trait. Basically, Diablo has a baseline quest to collect souls from fallen enemies, whether it be from minions giving 1 soul, or a hero giving 10 souls. As he collects souls, his maximum health increases up to 100 souls. If he dies, he respawns in 5 seconds at the cost of all of his souls and health bonuses, requiring you to start the quest over again. This kinda makes him for one of the more simple tanks from a mechanical standpoint, but that doesn't stop him from being any less fun or scary. His Shadow Charge combos are monstrous if the right talents are selected for it, taking nasty bites out of your enemy's HP. His CC is further demonstrated by both of his ultimates. One of them, Apocalypse, spawns a rune under your opponent's feet. It blows up, stunning any heroes that come into contact with it after a short time. His other ultimate, Lightning Breath, has Diablo breathe fire and slow peeps down, which is not what you want when you're getting fire up your ass. Not to mention that both of his ultimates combo really well into his already potent CC combos. But most of all, I like Diablo's ability to create openings to expose isolated enemies, and kindly reposition them into your team's clutches. Also worth mentioning is Diablo's wardrobe's worth of skins. The fucker has the 4th most in the entire game, behind Sonya, Kerrigan, and Li Ming. Wait a minute, is it a coincidence that all the Diablo characters get good skins? He just has so many ways to slam his opponents to the ground and look good doing it. And then there are the peeps that are just sitting in the corner with no cosmetic love. But I digress. Right now, Diablo is the most popular hero in the game, period. And it's not hard to see why. This in turn does make him annoying to fight after a while because you find him like every other match, which is why he's only at number 5. But despite that, Diablo lands in the middle of the countdown, and I wouldn't have it any other way. This next entry is probably my favorite character personality-wise, and to those who played StarCraft 2 will soon see why. Yeah, I know, another Protoss? But where Tassadar is all about justice and courage, Alarak is pretty much the polar opposite. Not really a villain, but someone who just gets annoyed with altruism and long speeches. He's probably the most grim and sadistic prick you'll ever meet in this game. Alarak leads the Tal'Darim, a minority faction of Protoss across the Kaprulu sector. These Protoss elect their High Lord through a ritual known as the Chain of Ascension. Each Tal'Darim is born into a spot on the chain and can usurp or be usurped in a battle known as Rak'Shir, where the loser's life is forfeit. Alarak is at the top of the chain, and as such is the most powerful of his people, and this definitely shows in combat. Alarak has access to one of the only silences in the assassin role, his Discord Strike. This combos really well into his other abilities, and leaves them vulnerable for a short time. It should also be mentioned that Alarak is the only hero with the ability to use both of his ultimates simultaneously, both of which are powerful in their own right. Now, like I said, this guy is easily the best character personality-wise of anyone in StarCraft, maybe even the entirety of HOTS. Everything he says is just pure entertainment. Just listen to him for a second.
Are you dead again? Oh. Is there something you require? Get on with it. Was that an attempt at wit? Oh, it's so difficult to parse the thoughts of lesser beings. Deliver the paltry sum you have collected. Well, at least your ineptitude is consistent. The Nexus, a conflux of time and space, where heroes and worlds clash. Sounds like underwhelming science fiction. I mean, really, are you even trying anymore? No, no more of this. I'm a conqueror, not an entertainer.
Good God, it makes me wonder how he addresses the Tal'Darim. Anyways, Alarak has a peculiar mechanic known as sadism. As he gets kills, his sadism goes up, increasing his ability damage and self-healing against enemy heroes. And there are a lot of ways of increasing it. Even allied hero deaths increase your sadism. However, when you die, you lose all of the sadism you earned. This is what makes Alarak a very polarizing character. You either dominate the game as him getting kills left and right, or you're useless. Yet despite his feast or famine nature, Alarak is one of the only heroes that climbed the list rather than falling down. Part of that is thanks to his aforementioned gameplay style where it's very easy to get punished for making a wrong move. But him being a sarcastic wise-ass son of a bitch also helps. So I have talked a lot about the anti-heroes and villains of this list, but what about the heroes of good and righteousness? Well, no better defender of good than the Archangels of the High Heavens. I have already mentioned Imperius, and while I think he's good, I haven't gotten nearly enough time to play as him as compared to my next candidate. And all that time was well spent, because I still love her to bits. Probably the most underrated of all the angels, Ariel is the Archangel of Hope. She's the most compassionate of all the angels and believes in the potential of mortals in stark contrast to the previously mentioned Archangel of Valor. While Ariel is underappreciated to most eyes, a select few like me sees her true potential in the field of battle. She is a healer who has the potential to really change the tide of battle if her abilities are properly executed. For starters, she has one of the best sources of burst healing in the game. Though her healing is a bit different, it's not as simple as pressing a button and watching the magic happen. This is where her trait comes in. Ariel can put a halo on someone and the damage they deal is transferred to you as energy. At max energy, her W, Ray of Heaven, heals for 475 health baseline. This, in tandem with her ultimate, Crystal Aegis, gives Ariel this anti-burst damage roll, which not a lot of healers have, and even more struggle with. Her other ultimate, Resurrect, sounds good on paper, but is not so when the telegraphed nature of the ability and its long cooldown is put into play. You can do some pretty cheesy stuff with it though. But Ariel is not a sitting duck. She knows how to put up a fight, and can go toe-to-toe with some of the assassins and tanks of the game, such as ETC, Alarak, and Dahaka. She even has a bit of crowd control. Her E ability knocks people back into walls and stuns them. So what we have is a healer that's good at things outside her role, and that is above all else why I love Ariel so much. She's able to do so many different things, but still be good at what she does best. Even after the support Apocalypse, she's still good in combat. Not much else to say, Ariel is my favorite healer by a long shot, and any healer that thinks they can even compare to her is wasting their time. But seriously though, buff Resurrect.
Kelthuzad freaking Zud!
Ah yes, good old KT. The better KT than KT. KT's superior to KT in every way. KT is at a clear disadvantage because KT's better than KT.
KT!
All joking aside, Kelthuzad is by far my favorite mage. Kelthuzad is a lich who serves the undead Scourge. He is responsible for many of the Scourge's atrocities, including creating the abominations, spreading the plague of undeath, and founder of his own religion, the Cult of the Damned. Kelthuzad is yet another underrated hero, and he is criminally underrated at that, seeing as in my opinion, he's easily the best mage in the game. His burst damage is just outrageous. Most of that is thanks to his abilities comboing absurdly well into each other. Most of the time, it starts with his chain ability. Link two peeps together and congratulations, they're about to get butt-fucked by all of your other abilities. This might be why peeps don't play KT, not because they have a sense of morality or anything. But mainly because most people are intimidated by his ability combos when trying him out. They see the pros doing like 14 things at once, but those people who do play him are pretty much equipped to deal with anything. Take any hero that's really annoying to play against. Junkrat, Cassia, Chromie, Lily. Azmodan! KT combos them and gives them a nice double birdie from below. And anyone foolish enough to challenge Kel will either be dead or walk away misting most of their blood. Unless you're a Zeratul, he will wreck your shit. But ignoring him and some other heroes, it's ridiculous how many people are just dead when they so much as touch Kelthuzad's chains. But once he's done with that, once he's done making you his bitch, you'll wish him nerfed to the ground, not knowing he's been nerfed several times already. But anyways, he can add to this combo by creating a glacial spike. This can serve as a target for your chain ability so you don't have to constantly play the guessing game on where they're gonna go. Oh, and one more thing. This guy has lifesteal and an instant revive. What? Yeah, his level 4 talent tier is so skewed towards his Phylactery of Kelthuzad talent. It's so tempting not to pick it sometimes. But in conclusion, Kelthuzad embodies everything I love about the assassin role. And yet, he's not even my favorite hero. Before I unveil who number 1 is, let's quickly go over some honorable mentions. The only scumbag character that I play. Too guilty for this list, so sorry for not going all Miley Cyrus on you guys. Like Imperius, I haven't gotten enough time to play Junkrat yet, but good lord he's a blast.
Fresh meat.
Almost made the list, too bad I'm not very good with him. On the flip side, I really feel like my Artanis is really good. He's probably the unofficial number 11, I just found Ragnaros to be more interesting to talk about. With all that out of the way, it's the moment you've been waiting for. My number 1 may seem a bit unorthodox. He's not really the most powerful or the funniest character, nor is he even one of the best from a gameplay standpoint. But his recent readjustment ignited the flame of my molten heart that yearned for his coming. How fitting that I make this right after his rework. Abathur is the evolution master of the Zerg Swarm. He was created by the Overmind with a single directive: perfect the Swarm. He is responsible for many of the Zerg creatures such as the Swarm Host, the Devourer, and his most infamous creation, the Queen of Blades. Yeah, that bitch. Abathur has had a very interesting time in HOTS. He's one of the original heroes in the game, being around before the game actually came out, and as such he's gotten a lot of changes over the years. Abathur doesn't actually fight the way every other hero does. Instead, he stays in the safety of his forts and keeps and enhances his allies through the use of his symbiote ability. While admittedly this makes for a static and kinda linear playstyle, it's where you step outside your safety zone is where things get really interesting. He can do a lot of things that people don't really expect of him. He can get merc camps as early as level 1, gank squishy solo laners, oh yeah, clone any hero on your team. His ultimate evolution is pretty apt as it allows for some of the highest playmaking potential in the game. You'd think that Abathur is one of the best, right? Well, yes, but it hasn't been easy. People in competitive flame Abathur much like they do Tassadar, but unlike Tassadar, Abathur puts your team at a notable disadvantage for the first half of the match, being outnumbered in a 4v5 matchup. Once he hits level 10 though, this is when the fun begins. As now that his other ultimate, Evolve Monstrosity, got retuned, he now has 2 great ultimates to choose from. But explaining why I like him is a bit difficult considering that the other heroes I put on here I like for acting like a moron. But with Abathur, you have to be meticulous, precise, and have a purpose for doing anything. I mean, he's one of the hardest heroes in the game, period, so I guess it's to be expected. But I do enjoy that aspect of him. Also is the fact that if you've noticed, a lot of these heroes have low popularity, and since I generally don't like all the popular heroes, I decided I was going to be that one guy that mains Abathur. And I do all the cheesy stuff with him. Behold, the face of a god. So that's all there is to it. I will leave it to you guys to give this game a whirl. Until next time, fellow followers. See ya!